David's with us in Providence, Rhode Island. Hi, David. Welcome to the EntreLeadership podcast.
Dave, thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate it. Huge fan, and thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
I'm the owner of a landscape maintenance and construction company, as well as a dumpster rental company. Between the two companies, I have 7 employees and 2 part-time office staff members. Our gross revenue between the two companies is around $2 million per year, about 1.2 from the dumpster rental company. Been a huge fan of the baby steps. Practiced them for all of my businesses and personal. It paid off about $940,000 in the past 4 years.
Way to go.
Thank you. Yeah. Both businesses completely debt free. And I have a net profit between the two of somewhere between $400 and $500K.
Way to go, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you seriously for, you've taught me so much. So, the problem that I'm having is I'm exhausted and I feel like I'm working harder now than I've ever worked ever in my life. And I have room to grow my businesses, but getting the employees to do so has been hurting me. So I'm just confused as to what I should do. Do I stay the same, or do I start using my profits to keep growing, or can I use them towards paying off the rest of? I have debt on 2 investment properties and my personal residence with very low balances.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, there's 2 separate issues going on here. One, yes, I would clear the debt as quick as I can, but it's not an either or, it's a both and. I mean, you're basically sitting at the treadmill operator stage, almost in the Pathfinder stage. Treadmill is where you're on the treadmill. It all depends on you. If you don't show up, not much happens.
Right.
And that's treadmill operator. But you've almost gotten up over that a couple times, and then you kind of fell back, and it was based on your hiring model because you were hiring people that you couldn't delegate to.
Well, I have them. I just can't get.
You can't delegate to them. You can't delegate to them. You don't trust them.
Right.
You don't. It's not that you don't. Not that you think they're stealing, but you don't trust their competency. They can't get it done if you're not there pushing everything.
I agree with that.
Now that's where I was when I had 10 people, 11 people. It was it was like herding cats. It was and I discovered a couple things. The biggest thing that killed me, and it's going to kill you too, because you're doing so good, by the way. I'm proud of you. But I realized that I was the problem. I thought they were the problem, and then I realized I was the idiot that hired them. And worse than that, I kept them. So if you hire people that you can't delegate to, that's your fault. If you keep them, it's your fault. And that's not to say you're dumb, because you're not dumb. You've done an amazing thing. But it's the natural progression of the stage of business that you're in to upgrade the quality of your team member.
So can I ask you a question off of that?
Sure.
All right. So, I pay myself between the two companies between $250 and $300K a year. Am I paying myself too much money? And how do I justify knocking myself down a little bit and put that revenue towards better staffing?
Yeah, better people cost more.
Right.
They just do. I mean, it's part of the equation. You're not going to win the Kentucky Derby with a donkey. Thoroughbreds cost more than.
How do you swallow going?
Well, because it's a step back to take 10 steps forward. So the most beautiful thing that I ever learned to do was one of the hardest things was to build a business that was not dependent on me, to where stuff gets done when I'm not in the room. And it gets done in such a way that it makes me smile. That our team oftentimes does a better job of serving the customer than I would have personally, because our team is that high quality. They're thinking at a different level. They're right on the front line. They're real excited and pumped up. I might not be. that day, and they get things done, and they're thinking ahead, and they're focusing on their position and so forth. But it took a while to build that. So this is a very strenuous exercise to go from 10 team members at $2 million to 20 team members at $5 million. But you're gonna like your business a lot better when you've got people in there that are doing things that you trust, and the customers come up and go, "Hey, that gal that does so and so there in the office, she's the reason we do business with you, is people like her." When you start hearing stuff like that, that's when you know you're on the right track. And that can be either training up the people you've got on learning to care, learning to do things with excellence, learning to play through the details, just like you do, or get new ones. It's probably some of both. You're probably going to lose some of the donkeys because you can't shine them up. They won't ever be a thoroughbred. And when you try to get them to move at thoroughbred speed, they just kick and carry on and run out the door. And then some of them are beautiful thoroughbreds, but they're just babies, and you hadn't grown them up into a full racehorse yet. And so you just got to coach them along and show them what to do. They've never had anybody care about, but we require, if you're going to work at Ramsey, that you care. If you don't care,
I find that's hard to find.
Oh, it is hard to find. It's very hard to find. And here's what's worse: if you get here and you care, and then you quit caring, we will move you on. You have to care, because I care, and I'm giving you my money, so I care if you care. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And so if you lose your enthusiasm and you say, well, I don't know, well, you can go to heaven and not work here. So, we'll go somewhere else. Something else will happen, And so you got to care. That's a start. And then once you care, then you can learn to do better. You can learn to get shinier, put some shining eyes out there, as one guy says. And so that's the process you're going to go through. Is you're going to have to look at your staffing and say, all right, you said to me, I'm exhausted. And the way you get the way you get your life back is you quit doing everything yourself, and you move from treadmill operator up to that. And so I'm going to plug you in with the EntreLeadership Elite team, and they're the ones that can help you with the EntreLeadership Elite product with some online coaching and help you move through the whole process of delegation. But delegation cannot occur until hiring and firing occurs. And so proper hiring, proper firing sets you up to move from the treadmill operator up to the Pathfinder stage. That's what it is. Because you can't delegate to a donkey. You just can't. And you can't win the Kentucky Derby with a donkey. You got to have a thoroughbred. And so it works, guys. It works. But it's painful, because here's the other thing. When you're interviewing them, David, here's what's so difficult. It drives me nuts. It still drives me nuts to this day. When you're interviewing them, donkeys dress up like thoroughbreds for the interview. They look just like them. And if you don't spend a little more time in the interview, if you keep talking to them, eventually they'll go, yeah, you go, I heard that. It sneaks right out below that nice tie and that nice suit, right? And you'll hear it if you'll sit there and listen and spend time with them instead of just believing the packaging that comes in the door in the interview process. You can hire incredible people that love other people, that will love your customers, and that care deeply. They're out there. There are good ones. I got 1,000 people in the building, and we don't keep them if they don't, and we try not to hire them if they don't. So it's that simple. It's that simple, but it's that hard. All of that goes together in the process. So you're a good guy, David. You got it going. If you solve this, if you'll do the stuff that we're going to set you up with and follow what the EntreLeadership team tells you to do, you, my man, are going to double this business, and you're not going to be exhausted anymore. Oh, isn't that fun? This is the EntreLeadership Podcast.